welcome to another edition. Hi, it's DeAndre on the commentary. Today is 11/29/2014. We're right before the Sunday before Thanksgiving. What a festive time of the year. We've been dealing with a lot of tweets. People are very angry because of a guy named Joey Jackson, who I talked about yesterday. And I've been doing some more investigating and looking into this, but apparently there is something called a special jury, a special grand jury that is allowed in the U.S. in our laws, and this can be practiced when there is some drug-related stuff going on during trials, or an incident or a crime, or when there's corruption. And we believe, based on the evidence or information that was given over to the jury during this grand jury for Michael Brown's death, there was some misinformation. There's a history of controversy and or problems with this district attorney, and this cop was a part of a police force that was disbanded because of their behavior toward racial issues and the black community. So we getting ready to go full board. We're preparing some letters. I'm going to contact some people from the NAACP myself, and we need to find out if there is need for a special grand jury in regards to the Michael Brown situation. This evidence, the work that was written up and given, passed down, released in evidence after the district attorney's announcements, the transcripts from the trial, all of this stuff needs to be looked at seriously, because there's a possibility that this district attorney is corrupt. In lieu of how his colleagues discuss these laws based on what a cop can do when he is confronted with a suspect and how he can respond and what's the lethal use of force. These laws are very important and were considered unconstitutional in 1985. And we have a person from the district from the prosecutor's office reading this outdated law accidentally to the jury, and then taking it off the table, telling them, "Oh, never mind, oh, just kidding," or as we say in the hood, "psych." And you cannot, you can't do stuff like that. And why is everybody trying to act as though this is the normal way that grand juries take? This is not. This is completely abnormal. This even after all of that, you know, my final thing is how long that man's body laid on the ground. That attitude, along with the history of Robert McCulloch's bullshit and all of his, and people can say, well, he's a Democrat. I don't give a shit if Robert McCulloch is a Democrat. I don't care if he's an opinion. I don't care if he's an independent. I don't care what political party he's from. He did not properly do what a grand jury, a guy who's going to coordinate a grand jury does. He didn't advocate anything for the dead man. They basically accused they basically accused Michael Brown of being guilty. There was no advocacy for that dead victim. And to sit here and sort of, you know, act as though that all of this stuff just sort of adds up is a term we're going to go ahead and use it. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but this is fuzzy math. Okay, and now everybody's saying, well, the blood in the car and the bullet in the thing and the this and the that and the bullshit whack, and you know, all that shit is whack, man. That when you take an initiative to misinform a jury about an outdated law, and then you expect me to support or to feel comfortable with any evidence or any information that you are responsible for, when people's cameras and shit didn't work, when it was time to take the pictures of the crime scene, when everything is exposed, when Michael Brown's body's not covered, when nobody really understands what the fuck is going on, when you have to make the I'm talking about the whole thing. I'm not just talking about the shit that we don't know what took place in the secret in the secret grand jury. I'm talking about the way they handled the goddamn presentation, the way they handled giving that community that information about that no true bill was totally inappropriate. And all of that behavior is throughout this whole case, from the time in which the prosecutor didn't want to go ahead and hand it off to a special prosecution. He basically fought for his right to acquit this cop during the grand jury procedure. We need a special grand jury. We need Eric Holder to say, wait a minute. We need somebody to say, this shit don't add up, okay? There is a pattern of corruption and misinformation all through this case. And I believe that the people who are supporting this cop, all $500,000 of it, is going to have a rude awakening. And it's going to get nasty. You know, we have access to the information on how to deal with a special grand jury. We need a special grand jury for Michael Brown. Call your congressman. You know, call the people who run the department, the DOJ. You know, we need to have a special grand jury in regards to the Michael Brown case. We need a special grand jury. This is bullshit. You see all this stuff going on all over the country? We don't have this kind of shit going on every time there's a grand jury verdict of no true bill. Okay, if that's the case, we would be like it would be like one of these video games. You know, it would be like Grand Theft Auto. If all of and people keep saying that, stop saying that. This is not how all grand juries are ran. Okay, this is not how all grand juries are ran. That's why we have a special grand jury. We get to have a special grand jury because some shit gets fucked up. And why is everybody trying to act like Mississippi Burning wasn't a true story? That movie was based on real stuff, Mississippi Burning. That movie was based on real shit. Those were real events that took place. That corruption, that cover-up, that racism, that was real, okay? That really happened. Those people were killed, okay? Because people want to hold on to this fucking sick power over a complete race or community. And this country, you know, we have the history. I don't know if everybody's trying to act like we don't have our racist history. You know, maybe that's one of the reasons why things gonna get better, because we got too many old motherfuckers running around here like this shit didn't take place. I'm gonna tell you something. These guys that are younger than me that are coming up, I hang out with them. They're not gonna go for it. They're not gonna go for it. They're not gonna go for it. And they will continue to protest. They will continue to cause unrest. You know, so I suggest to the Department of Justice, go ahead and get the fucking special grand jury going. You need a special grand jury in regards to the Michael Brown situation. Darren Wilson is guilty, and he didn't really even want to kill that boy. I don't think Darren Wilson really wanted to go through with all this shit. I think this is the first time he ever used his gun. But it's not the first time that he's been connected to corruption in regards to race. Based on that, and the history of this DA and the constant complaints about this DA, I want to know about some of these other cases. I wish everybody would quit using these blanket CNN terms, Fox News terms, you know, that he has a history of. What is that history? You know, without divulging things that we can't get a hold of because of conflict, confidentiality, what are some of the old cases? So this is what news is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be showing us the old cases with as much information as possible on this man's past, Robert McCulloch. You know, Robert McCulloch. You know, this guy has a history of backing up cops when it's been totally inappropriate. You know, and here's another very, very harsh historical example of his blundering. And this corruption, this foul play took place in the grand jury, man. And let's stop bullshitting. See? Let's stop bullshitting. See? The Ku Klux Klan, they take off their masks sometime to do their task all the time. The corruption, the need for a special grand jury in the town of Ferguson. I'm going to keep you up to date, okay? But I refuse to believe that this is how grand juries work. This is not how they work, man. All you got to do is read and look and see instead of feeling and thinking and knowing. Just look around. You can see that grand juries this is unheard of, quite frankly. Other than the fact that corruption is involved, and I think that the corruption needs to be exposed. We need a special grand jury. That's all the time we have now. Join me again on Talking Shit. Bye.